are going to get started just like a normal race, a few minutes late because the race director is trying to set the course. So where are the timers? But the police haven't shown up, or the porta potties are still locked. The porta potties in this case being the elevator. So we're going to get going with the business session, helping races rebuild. This is going to kind of step off of what we just finished talking. I think most of you guys were in the room for the last session, which we talked about race day registration, the check-in app. So the pivot here is kind of going further into the adding value as a timer for your race director. We realize that, I think most of you guys in here race direct or own events in your own right? Raise your hand if you're race direct, own events. Anybody that's just solely timing? So a couple. Yeah, mostly. But still, you say only timing, you're not just only timing, right? I know both you guys, and you're not just timing. So that's where we're going in terms of some of you guys that are race directors, race owners. You have been doing some of this stuff forever. So some of you that aren't, we're going to talk about some of the tools. There we are. So I'm going to talk about the expanded event options and pricing strategies, and then Shelly here is going to go into marketing approaches and some resources, and then we'll talk about timer pricing for those of you who haven't used it or didn't know about it. So the expanded event options, there are a number of tools to help reach individuals, and so I've been adding additional event options. Can go a long way to drive more registrations. We're coming off of a tough couple of years. A lot of events are still seeing numbers that are down. Some are killing it, right? But there seems to be an industry-wide 20% decrease in numbers. And all of those seem to be coming late in the game. I don't know what everybody in here's races have been looking like, but does that sound about right? A lot more late registrations, which now becomes weather dependent, right? So for me, I'm going to make those price increases go bananas until the 10-day forecast comes out. Because once the 10-day forecast comes out, those people are hitting refresh if they haven't signed up yet. You know, they're waiting until race day at that point to see if that rainstorm, if you're down in Florida putting on a triathlon, they're waiting to find out, you know, is that storm coming on Saturday morning or not? And so they have to pay $20 extra. They don't care anymore. So offering on-site versus virtual options. We do know that a lot of people are all virtualed out, but there's still a huge proponent of people that want to participate, or a piece of the puzzle resonates with them. And so if you're not having to do that much extra work, those virtual components can still play a major part in race revenue or revenue for the event. Now, if you're a timer, that can also mean revenue for you as well. And if you didn't learn during 20 and 21 how to generate revenue off of virtual, we're just going to point you back to the internet and google.com about how to do that, because we all went through it, right? Like every single person in here, you had to figure out how to make a dollar. So setting up series, I know a number of you guys have series. So this is kind of keeping the registration flowing throughout the year, so that as an event ends, you can point them towards another event, whether it be at the time of registration, so that you're continuously having them race throughout the year, or just a reminder that, you know, series race number 2 is in a month or something like that. So just keeping them engaged with your brand. And then adding challenges, so you have incremental training programs. Again, this is just to continuously engage the athlete. Now, a lot of people they've been doing these challenges. They know about these challenges. There's still a lot of race directors that are coming out that maybe they just held off on doing races. And so they might not be as familiar with some of these. There's a lot of running clubs that are coming out and interested in these kind of things, and they don't know how to get started. And again, we just come back to you as the timer, knowing how to use the tools and being able to use these in your arsenal or book of business or scope of service when you're writing out contracts, so that you can continue to do business and grow your portfolio. So these are just some examples of different expanded events. So you've got your year-round training programs for this. and registering for $0, but it's quite literally just getting people in the system. Because for those of you that don't do it, marketing, getting those emails in now, even if you're not direct marketing via like, our email platform or whatever CRM you might be using, you can still dump them into like a social media marketing platform where you're doing lookalike ads or something like that. And you've got these direct email addresses. You can contact these people directly. And so, yeah, it might have taken you some time and a little bit of effort to set this stuff up on the back end, but now you can actually market to, I know a lot of larger events, they want to pair with timers that have the ability to market out in their own right. And so if it's your training program or your event, you own those email addresses. But a lot of times as a timer, if you're coming in, you do not own the email addresses and they do not want you marketing out. So it's a great way to build your services and get more races. So adding team options, a lot of us have been doing this for years, but having a social component, man, a golden tennis shoe that's beat to crap that you've spray painted and nailed to a piece of wood and that somehow becomes a perpetual trophy goes so far in these groups of people, whether it be, CrossFit groups or Boy Scout troops or sororities or, fire departments or whatever. It costs you a can of spray paint and, 2,000 miles in a pair of shoes. And now you've got something to give away as a social trophy to help drive registrations to that event. It costs you very little money. That social thing could be simply like, who has the largest event or largest team? Competitive teams, obviously, as timers, we like to touch those teams a lot because race directors will go bananas in, we're going to do all these fancy things, and a lot of them are cuckoo bananas. So we a lot of times like, whoa, let's slow down. But the competitive side of things, having whether it be relay, cumulative teams, fastest average, or I think that's pretty much most of the team types. But the competitive teams can drive a lot of these social teams as well, especially if you're ever looking at doing a longer distance relay or like loop or lap courses. And then relays, like we talked about, and that could be anything. I did a firecracker 4-miler, and it was only 4 miles. And they were like, hey, we're going to do 2-person and 4-person teams as well. And they ended up getting like doubling the numbers that they had before. Their 4-miler registration was the same, and they doubled the numbers off of the relay component, just because people are like, I can do a mile, and they had barbecue at the finish, so that helped, but so and then corporate teams, the corporate side of things, if you've never done a corporate run or a corporate challenge where you're engaging a lot of different corporations, it's super helpful to build in these corporate teams because people aren't paying, it's the corporation that's paying, so they get X amount of registrations included in their sponsorship or whatever you want to call it. If you're going to get into corporate teams, definitely work with your account manager, because that can be initially a little bit of a confusing setup. Why am I pointing it that way? Why am I pointing it anyway? There we go. I use this a lot, especially for smaller 5Ks, by saying, if you get 5 people to register, we'll give you your money back. And you can pitch that to race directors, because most of us, and raise your hand if this is not the case, most of us are getting, as a timer, you're getting paid on a per athlete basis. So you have a vested interest in these races growing, right? You're not getting $10,000 for a 5-person race. So, and if you are, help me out. I want to figure out how we get into that. But these discounts can really help out. And if you've ever set up like a triathlon relay or something like that, you can see how that pricing structure can be set up where one person pays, everybody else is free. Or once you get a certain number of people, the first people are discounted $5, and then everybody after that is the $5 discounted rate. So again, these are just like suggestions to give to your RDs to build out those prices. And creating a sense of urgency, because like we just talked about, everybody, again, not everybody, but there's a huge group we've been talking about the same thing since like 2010, I feel like, of people registering later and later. Like at some point it's got to end, and it's not ending. It's like there used to be like 10 people on race day, and now it's like 20% on race day or 10% on race day. So getting these people registered early takes a lot of the question marks out of the game. So obviously you can do price increases based on dates, group discounts that we just talked about, block pricing. So this is where the first 100 people get a certain price. A group that does this really well is not WTC, but Ironman. You'll see their ads a lot of times. It's like, hey, we're running out of this block of pricing. You can set the same kind of stuff up in RunSignup. You can do club and membership discounts especially if you have clubs based out of RunSignup. Affiliate discounts, loyalty sales. If you've never created a loyalty list, it's a pretty cool product, especially if you've been on RunSignup for a while. It can count how many times like you've done the 5K and you've done it 5 times. And people that have done it 5 times, let's say it's a sellout event, people that have done it 10 times get to register first. People that have done it 5 times register second. And that way they have the opportunity to get into the race before anybody else. If it's not a sellout event, maybe those people that have done it more get a discount, like a $2 or $3 discount. Nothing crazy, but just trying to engage that low-hanging fruit of people that we know are going to register, get them in early so we don't have to think about it later. Age-based pricing. A lot of times you'll have younger kids for a cheaper price. And you don't have to do this as like a child registration and an adult registration. It's 2 different registration types. Granted, if you're using like race day scoring, you can easily add those 2 together and score them combined. But you can also set it up so anybody that qualifies in a certain age range gets a specific pricing. So something to consider. And then multi-race discounts, especially going back to the series, you can set it up so X amount of races within the series, you get that, you get a discount. People can register for like all at once, getting, and picking the t-shirts they want all at once. So they're not having to go back in and register. Coupons, we've all used coupons before. And then open registration at Expo for next year's race. I think the larger events see this happen more and more and more. So where are we doing this pricing? So underneath on your dashboard, you will see pricing. You have all of the things we just talked about under pricing, financial pricing. So primary pricing is exactly what it sounds like, but you can do things with event size. So again, we've got first 100 special. So you've got a price point. And again, this is just driving, you've got to incentivize these people to register early. If you don't, I dare somebody to put no price increases and see how many people register before race day. And magically your numbers will be way down because there's something else happening that day that, nobody felt that they had to come on race day or register on race day. So getting those people registered early really, really matters. And so again, like having all of this, says at the top, first 100 special. So the first 100 people that register are getting a discounted rate. You can do event date discounts, and these flags are available as well. And you can set whatever text or what have you that you want. And you can also put like your discounted rate or strike through pricing on there, just again to incentivize the athlete to register. For those of you that own events, you probably know some of this, but for those of you that don't, things like this actually matter. So you're always trying to get people to register with some hook. So event size price increases, and this is where the price update after participants, goes $10, $20. So as more people register, the price goes up. And again, this is hopefully to encourage people to register early. At some point, you're not going to keep raising the price because then nobody's going to register. Per event, you're trying to find that sweet spot. But everybody's prices are increasing. And I'm not talking about raise prices, like your fuels increased, your staffing costs have increased, your tag, your hardware, your data storage, like every single one of you has experienced price increase over the last 2 years. And if you haven't, again, call me. I want to figure out how, because it seems like everyone, whether it be t-shirts, just across the board, everything's gone up. And so if I found in a lot of these circumstances that if you put your starting price point, what it was for 2 weeks, you can always turn around no matter how high it goes. You can always say, well, we started We started at $20. Yeah, race day is $50 for this 5K. Should have registered early. It's $20. So having that in your back pocket is very helpful. And this is the similar concept of as the race, as more people register, it's like, hey, just register early. So multi-event discounts, talked about this. And this is where you can bundle things together. So your entire series, you get $10 off on all 4 races. Or you can just register for each one. But if you go into each event, set up on RunSignup separately, you can link them together through the series. And on each one, it will allow them to register and dump into all of the series events. I will say that if you're doing this, you probably want to have a conversation with your race director because all the finances will be housed in the event that this button was clicked. So let's say this is race 1 of 4. So if they click that button and register for $110, the finances are not divvied out 110 divided by 4, somebody smarter than me. But they will all land in race 1. So just keep that in mind that, hey, you didn't lose money on race 4. You can still do series reporting and get to those finances, but all those finances will live in the original or the event that the registration originated. So yeah, here's another one. We've got bundle events right here. And this must have been Sam. I'm like, why is Scott Coffey also doing the Vancouver Trail Series? But so a great example of series events, and you can pick multiple events from each race. So it's a really useful tool if you've got a lot of events. And this is what a lot of people use if they do like holiday runs. So let's say you have a Thanksgiving run, and then you've got like a snowflake run in like February, and then you've got or maybe your next one is St. Patrick's. Thank you. I was going to get there probably next week, but yeah, thanks. And then maybe it's 4th of July, and then maybe it's like Dog Days of Summer or something like that. Like it's a great way to keep people registering, keep people engaged, no matter at what point they come into your registration cycle. Loyalty program and list. This is what we talked about when you're allowing people with a certain number of registration times for that specific event. We can create special lists of people and allow them to register in advance of other people or for a discounted rate of other people. And you can do this through race registration and loyalty programs. You can also create lists out of your CRM and create special lists from there too. Register together and teams. Again, this is what I was talking about that I use a lot. I think it's a great tool. Multi-person pricing. If you have X amount of people that register, then you start getting a discount if they all register at the same time, or if you have a set number of people that register on a team, you can start getting kickbacks. So you can have specific ones for registering multiple people in a single transaction. Reduces their fees, like family registration, especially at like turkey trots and stuff like that. I mean, you're not trying to kill them on processing fees. So if they all go into the same thing, you're now able to discount for them as well. And yeah, this can be differentiated by events, how many people, things like that. So team pricing, I don't know, have most of you done some sort of team, whether it be relays, teams, or something like that in terms of timing? Yeah, I mean, so this is pretty self-explanatory. You have specific time. And so captain pays, this is like I always look at it as like triathlon relay. So like the person that registers the team gets in for X amount, and then everybody else joins the team, inclusive of that price. Ooh, I think I went too far. And you get to that under participants, group teams, and pricing setup. Group size refunds. This one is nice because then you can get people to recruit people to their team. So again, it provides some organic marketing to the event. And again, as timers, I'm going to keep saying this. It might not matter to you. It matters to the races you're working with. And the more you can give them this type of information, the more they're going to look to you for everything else. And the more they look to you, again, like you're getting now their other events, or, hey, they helped me with fill in the blank thing. Somebody's asking them, how do I grow my event? Well, they told me how to do this. Maybe you win another event out of it. And it matters. Word of mouth, like who in here, word of mouth is not the #1 way they gain business. That's the number that is or is not. Yeah. So I think everybody would say that's your number one way. So being able to provide just nuggets nonstop to these people to help them out with their event, that's where it's at. Like that's how we're getting business. Yep. Right. Right. Well, thank you. And what Zach was saying, because I have to say it in here, is that he doesn't have to police the coupon management, things like that as much because a lot of it's managed in RunSignup and it makes it very helpful. So there's not as many gaming the systems with some of these tools that we have built in. So coupons and referrals. This is just a coupon trend report. Again, I'm not going to go through this in too much detail, but the take home here is there's a $12.75 average for a coupon. I look at coupons a lot of times as not a dollar amount, but a percentage amount. And most races are looking at a 15 to 20% maximum discount for a coupon. So I'll look at that same concept of referrals based on if we have referral codes. Let's say we're going to give somebody their money back. It'll always be at 4 or at 5. So the average across is like 20%, 17.5%, 15%, somewhere in there. You never want to make sure it's like a 1-to-1 because then you're giving away 50% registration fees. But yeah, there's a lot of coupons being used through the system. So it does drive registrations. And this can be based off, this is the end of the cart when they're paying. You can use this both during normal registration or race day registration, which is what we talked about in the last deal. So you can do cash passwords with that race day registration. You can also do coupons. A lot of times we cancel our coupons. We like have an end date of the day before packet pickup, because if you're showing up at packet pickup, you're paying full price. Like you're not getting that coupon anymore. So something to consider for your races. Referrals, 8% of all transactions in 2021 were referrals. If you're not setting up referrals, that could be a big number. You know, I don't know how much revenue your events are generating, but I'd be willing to bet if you're doing 10, 15, 20 races, the number is in the 6 figures of gross revenue, right? So that 8% could be easily in the 5 figures. Right? So if they're not hitting those gross revenue numbers because referrals aren't set up, like that's major miss out. So setting these up is massive. And events with aggressive referral programs, I mean, there's some out in California that go bananas with this referral thing. And I've seen like hundreds of thousands of dollars generated from referral. It's insane. So participants are the most effective advocates because they're the ones getting this back. They love it. Again, going back into the organic side of things. And you can incentivize them with refund, swag, recognition, whatever it be. And so these are just some ideas of what it would look like if you were providing that. So get creative with your rewards. You can do a whole bunch of things. And some of this is swag awards. Some of this is referral refunds. Just keep in mind, if it's refund, it's automated. You don't have to worry about it. If it's swag, you do need to have someone that is owning that activation so that you are making sure that they get that thing that they're supposed to get. So what's high enough and what's the threshold? 3 to 5 referrals. Again, like I was saying, I go with 4 to 5 for my personal events and a reward of at least $15. Do not do a 1 referral, $5. You will lose money. You need a threshold high enough that not everyone's going to qualify. And that's how you drive that ROI of the referral. If you're doing it 1-to-1, like you're going to lose money on the referral. So this is a referral program that somebody had, $5 at the discount shop or at the gift shop. One thing at $25 value. Obviously, it didn't cost them $25. 2 tickets, and you just keep going. And this is where the swag awards can really help out. Here's another one. Refer 5 friends, get a t-shirt, or sorry, get $25 back, get exclusive Run for the Dog shirt, and then a bag at the end. So it can be a mix and match of a lot of different things. Closing registration, we just talked about this. I'm not gonna don't close registration. I mean, you can if you really want to, but not a great idea. So this is really important, and it's a great lead in to what Shelly's going to talk about. And you can do all these amazing things. If you tell no one about them, they are worthless, right? So the only way any of this works with the pricing incentives for either your event or the races you work with is if people know about them and getting this word out. Cool. So make sure you're marketing what these things are. It's a great social media talking point. It's a great website talking point. That being said, here's some marketing advice.
Oh, wait a minute. I have to make sure I know how to use this. Presented already. This is my first. Okay. Can you hear me? Sure. You sounded a lot louder than I did. So actually this presentation, all of this has been marketing. So we've talked about, the 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place, promotion. So we talked about product, the events, the event type. That's the types of products that the events can be offering, the pricing strategies. And now we're talking about the promotion side of marketing. And most people, when they hear marketing, they're referring to promotion. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So what I'm going to focus on here is more about how you can help your events. And I know Chris established that most of you have your own events, so it will help you as well. We've actually have done a series on this on, I'm sorry, I'm gonna fix this. Maybe over here. We've done a series on webinars on best practices in marketing and building effective websites and so forth. So I'm not going to go deep on this. I'm just going to touch on some things that we've talked about that are more kind of key points. And but then you're welcome to go and look at those videos or share those with your race directors and so forth. So let me, yay. So first it starts with building a marketing plan. And I know most of the events, they don't go to this formal process of building a marketing plan, but there's certain things that you can do with your events to help them be a little bit more strategic. And the first thing is to make sure, define your why. What's important about your event? Why do people want to go to your event over another event? What is it, the emotional connection, or what is it about the course itself, or is it a theme based, or is it a holiday based? What is it that you're offering? And then what are you doing to make your event different from the others around? Is it a barbecue that's in the summer, or, what is it that's drawing people in? Because people are, at the end of the day, they're not doing a race just to go out and run. If they were trying to just go out and run, they would do that on their own. They're going to a race because they want that emotional connection. They want this kind of public experience. They want all the things that go with a race. And that's why the virtual races, yes, they were a temporary solution, but they certainly didn't have the draw as on-site races did. So there's all these other tangible aspects that go along with a race, and that's what the race's promotion aspect needs to tap into. So once you kind of create your differentiator or why, then you move into making sure to either at least update or create your digital presence. And we'll talk about that, but that's, website and social media and so forth. And then building your awareness and excitement in the community, because you can create this wonderful race, you can have it all set up, but if people don't know about it, and especially now they have to be there, there needs to be extra marketing going on and extra promotion. It's not like the previous days. Right now, it is all about trying to get them back to running or cycling or paddleboarding or swimming. And then building a sense of urgency with the pricing strategies that Chris covered. And then keeping that connection, encouraging the word of mouth. It's not just about on race day, it's the days leading up to race day, it's the training, it's all the ways that you're engaging with the community to encourage that participation at the race. And one of the things that this is something that Brian Jenkins always makes sure that we communicate is to share with the races, to first, Google it when you're coming up with your race date, and making sure that your date doesn't conflict with, other big events and so forth in the area. And that's a no brainer, but you as a timer and they're looking for your expertise and you're trying to help them out on different things. It's just one of those things to check off. So why should people register for your race? This is kind of your hook for the year. What's your hook this year? Do you have an anniversary? Do you are you unveiling such special swag? Is this is there something unique about your course? Is it a beautiful course? Finding what is the hook for that race to help them then promote that hook and help drive that interest is key. So kind of the branding basics are establish your event logo. We all know this, but one of the things I see races do is they want to do a new logo every year. And that's nice and that's pretty. But at the end of the day, effective branding is you establish the colors, you establish your logo, and you use it year after year. So you see Apple, you see Tesla, FedEx, they have established logos. Now, over time, if it's, they may roll out new colors and adjustments, or they may have to change their branding, like Kentucky Fried Chicken decided fried wasn't good, so they went to KFC. So, that with the established brand, that's okay, but it's best to just keep using the same logo, and it's cheaper for them actually in the long run. And then maintain the same website, and that means like the URL, not the content. They need to update the content. And then keep your branding the same across your website and emails. Now that's also a no brainer, but just making sure that's something that you can offer, be an eagle eye and say, wait a minute, that doesn't look good. This doesn't match that. So your websites are how the world interacts with you. And it's really the first tangible experience that participants have with the event. And there's such an intangible nature of races that, a lot of what you do from a marketing aspect helps create that tangible experience. And the website is the first encounter with the event. So you want to make sure that the color schemes and everything are coordinated and that it looks nice. And we have some great tools. Okay, so what makes a website effective? Clearly, it needs to be aligned with your event's goals. But one of the things that I feel that events kind of falter on, and something you can help your events with, is guiding them and making sure that they're communicating these pricing strategies. If you have a bundled event or opportunity, if you have a coupon going on, a lot of times they don't change the website. They just they use it through email or Facebook, but they don't change it on their website, and which is easily changeable. So making sure that if there's something important going on with the event, they're trying to drive those early registrations, that is then represented on their website. Website as a way for self-service for the event. Let the participants find out the answers to their questions on your site versus calling your staff. And encourage engagement with participants and spectators through training programs, fundraising status, team highlights, and so forth. So creating things on the site that bring a reason for people to come back to your site. What are those reasons that a participant might come back to your site? If there's new information coming up, if they're part of a team, finding out on their status on their team. Obviously, results and photos, those are post-race kind of ways to entice them to come back. So one of the other things I've seen races kind of drop off on is communicating the services and value that they're providing to their event. So it's not just a course, it's not just results and so forth, or the expo, but what are the things that they're doing to make this an official race? It's different than a virtual. And a lot of them don't communicate that, and that's value. And it's a missed opportunity, because all that entertainment, the food, everything that's being provided, and all all you have to do is describe it a little bit differently, or provide, photos from last year's event to kind of create this more physical presence around the race. And obviously showcase sponsors. Okay. So what's included with RunSignup's website? Most of you, how many of you built a website on RunSignup? So good. A lot of you. Yeah, so obviously everybody knows it's free. Well, most of you do. And you can build a basic site to a very complex site. Our cover page tool is amazing. You can make it look very, very professional and use all the bells and whistles. It's integrated with data components to show like a dynamic feel to the site. Or you can use just a basic site. I mean, it depends on what the need is for the event. If it's just a simple 5K, you don't need to use everything. But you can choose to decide, if you're offering creating websites as a service to your events, how far you want to go with that. And you could include it as in pricing as part of your service if it's a basic site, or charge a little extra to build their site. So this is just an example of a website, a turkey trot, but you'll see that the color scheme is consistent throughout. What I really like about this is that the registration options are front and center. They're easy to digest versus reading a bunch of paragraphs and content. You're able to see, these are my different options. There's team options. Again, reinforcing that teams are definitely an ideal solution to attract additional participants. And then race information, and then these action buttons for, and you probably can't read that, but it says results, registration, and log your activity. The log your activity would be more for if like a training challenge or something like that. And this is another example webpage. And what I really liked about this one is that this is Peak to Brew. They decided to go with their number one goal, and their goal was they were really going to drive registrations. And so this is their front page. It's not, the other one is beautiful and all that, but they decided to focus on the goal. And that was to drive the registrations for their relay and to really communicate the multi-race bundle deals. And then they also had the volunteer and join a team or create a team. So, that's another kind of goal-driven type of website. And then event videos. This is, another feature that you can incorporate into the website. So I've seen a lot of different videos that events are doing, and you could simply do kind of a flyover using a drone of the course if it's a beautiful course, or just a short video. It doesn't have to be this fancy, beautiful video, but it is nice to kind of reinforce the message. Social media. One of the things that Brian talks about is that just make sure that your website, your social media pages are updated. There's a lot of events that haven't been around for 2 years, and they still have like old dates on them. So make sure that they definitely have a link to your registration too. That I'm seeing a lot of social media sites, they don't have the link to registration. That's a basic type of thing. And obviously promote price changes. That's a key tool for that. I just want to make sure I'm on a time check. Okay. So that's just talking about the digital presence and creating that digital presence for the event. And then how do you then get the word out? So these are kind of just typical tactics. And if you all, if you want to take a picture. So, but obviously word of mouth is number one. But the race calendars, and then old school with flyers, postcards, and so forth. And then making sure your keywords are good for search engine optimization, traditional ads, digital ads, local promotion, and email marketing. One thing I wanted to mention about the local promotion is that a lot of people think that getting on the local TV is difficult, or newspapers is difficult. It really isn't. And especially if you have a kind of anniversary event coming up, or if you're partnering with an organization in the community, like that's for fundraising, all you have to do is contact. There's the editor-in-chief or whoever the contacts that they have for news. They'll have an email address. just tell them what's going on and that you think that they should cover it. I did it for RaceJoy when we launched RaceJoy, and we had all this coverage in all these different cities and so forth, and it was amazing. So it really isn't hard. It just depends on the news cycle. And if you think about what the hook is that's going on for the day and for your event and whatever the news is going on at that time, then this is definitely an easy win. And if you do that for one of your races, they would just love you. Okay, and definitely, just to reiterate, as Chris said, word of mouth is definitely key, and that's where all this social aspect, the teams, and all comes into play. And I wanted to mention this because the fundraiser partnership aspect is really key. So, and this is actually Fred Summers. He's not in here. Oh, yes, he is. You were behind the wall. I was looking for you. Hi, Fred. So this is actually one of his series. And what I loved about this is that it was a series event. It was a creative series. Now, there was like a paddle bike thing or something on it. You also had, it was like a water bike thing. Yeah. So anyways, but partnering with Advent Health is an established organization in Florida. And so if you partner with a local fundraising organization that has a good brand, they will then, it's a great opportunity to have them market the event. So they already have the, all the contacts and so forth, or, or even beyond just fundraising, but local community partnerships like schools. Let them do the marketing. They can promote it to their constituents. They can email out. You can also offer a coupon code for them and say, give them that discount. And that also gives them a reason why they would promote it beyond just because they are also sponsoring it or what have you. So think of the part beyond just raising dollars. It's also a marketing partner. Okay. And I'm going to skip through that because we're running out of time. And then community connections. This is Running Zone. I'm not sure if we have Running Zone staff here today, but so many of you have your own running store or a retail store. That is obviously an opportunity to promote your events. Just putting up simple signage around the store and also offering discounts and coupons, and then any other kind of community connections such as schools, churches, and so forth. So think of your community as an opportunity for marketing, and also combine it with your pricing strategies with coupons. If you give them a coupon for that local community coffee shop or what have you, or for local employees in the city, then they have a reason to then promote it to them. And I think I'm going to just skip right to this. I knew this one was going to go a little bit long, but when you're setting up emails, and how many of you do emails for your races? Yeah. So making sure to set up a drip campaign, an automated campaign to remind them of price increases, registration follow-up, and also enabling the incomplete registration email so that it will remind them to come back and complete the registration. Obviously, don't send too many emails, but make sure that they're concise and consistent. And then this is just showing you an example of it's not too late to claim your refund, share with your friends. Whoop. And I'm going to let Chris kind of cover this one because it's how to get paid. And we actually had a discussion about this, about what are some different ways that you can get paid for all of these types of services, because these are things that are beyond timing. And what are the ways that, creative ways that you can get.
You're good.
There it is.
Yeah. So timer pricing is something you could talk with your event about. And so if you're trying to offset some of your costs, you can actually build a piece of your budget into the race registration fees. So like maybe $1 of the per person fee that you normally charge, you can offset that from the event that's hiring you by building that in as a processing fee. I'm not talking about partner level stuff. I'm talking about timer pricing. So now they have to agree to it as the race owner, but basically it bumps the processing up by that amount. And then again, it's up to you. If you're just trying to get paid more, then that's that. You still have to talk to the race director. But in theory, in that scenario, you're saying, hey, how about if you think I'm too expensive and I don't, How about we put it into the processing and I take that off of your bill and I can keep providing the level of service that you're able to do. Also building out packages, because I know we are running out of time, but for those of you that kind of glazed over when we talked about most of this stuff because it doesn't pertain to you, just because you don't do all this stuff doesn't mean somebody else is not willing to build out a package and make money doing exactly these things. Like, I'm be willing to bet most of you have been contacted, hey, will you help market my event? And somebody downstairs was like, what do you charge for? That's lead in. Every single time we do a time or business session, what are your fees for? And my response is, what is your time worth? You know, so work backwards from there. And if you have somebody like Shelly who knows marketing front to back on your team, maybe you can build out marketing packages, something of your scope of service. And you can start targeting larger events because you can bring in a lot of these tools, expand outwards into the community. And it's really going to help you kind of elevate to those larger events that need that are looking for that. And are you going to be able to play with the $1 million sponsors? Maybe not. But I mean, there's plenty of sponsors out there. $500 adds up quickly. $1,000 adds up quickly. A lot of these car dealerships are, dropping multiple thousands of dollars to be name on the race, car parked at the finish line, or lead out car, And if you own that event, or if you're like, hey, 20%, that's our retainer, 20% of anything we sell. I mean, you sell a $5,000 sponsor, that's $1,000 in activations on them. So it's just something to consider about revenue. And it is something that you need to build out and understand before you dive in head first.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, you can add on your timer fee onto the registration fee and just automatically be paid for that from the race. So that's an easy way. You're not chasing down an invoice. So, all right. Okay, so just to make sure everybody is aware, we do have a certification that dives into these topics a little bit more. You can be self-certified. So if you want to, just let us know, and then you'll get your badge. We also, as I mentioned, we have recorded webinars that you can share with your events. At the very least, you could send it to them and say, I don't know if you saw this webinar from RunSignup about, marketing best practices, but this might be something to look at. And then just also make sure everybody knows that you can win a watch downstairs. Going to the demo room, there's 3 watches being given out. So if you see a demo of the check-in app, RaceJoy, or the ticket app, the new ticket app, you have 3 chances to win a watch. And then join us for the suite run tomorrow. So we'll be meeting at the mezzanine level tomorrow.
And just a reminder for those of you that are like, you know what, I'm going to go have a couple cocktails tonight and don't feel like running. That's fine. You can still come and hang out with me, who also don't run very much. But the whole, especially for you guys, you can see a lot of these tools in action. So I'll be broadcasting race day scoring. So if you've been interested in getting involved in that or seeing how it works, not just in the demo room, like we're going to have people tagged out there running. We'll have real data. And I mean, honestly, I'll probably get bored and let some of you guys get behind the computer and press buttons and break things. So it's just the race directors that are going to get mad. So yeah, I think.
And I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I don't think I'm sorry, we don't have time for questions. So
We'll send you to the demo room if you have questions.